Hiya, hiya. It's time for the Saturday Funhouse, but it's Friday. We're a little early with the gang. I was just coming out here to do my little Zoom cast, and it started raining. I'm in Florida. Of course, this is the rainy season, beginning of the rainy season. And this is the time that we really hope that we don't have a hurricane while we're having a pandemic. Because we've never had two together. We never had one of those, but the two together, I think the hurricane would blow this thing back to North Korea and China where it started anyway. But you know what? The difference between China and Little China is that right next to Little China in New York City is Little Italy. And the difference between Little Italy and Big Italy is Little Italy is clean. And the other part of it is that Little Italy is not a good place for me to get a haircut. But some people have gotten haircuts there. That's one of those things that happened years ago. And now I have Ernest from Ferrara's who doesn't need a haircut. Ernest, you're a shining example of someone who can just polish his hair with a towel. There you are. And that's Karen with you, Karen King. Hey, hi, Karen. Karen, you know, I have a little souvenir here. It's from Ciarcia's. Ciarcia's the late husband. And of course, it's what happens at Ciarcia's stays at Ciarcia's. So good, because nobody's ever going to know what I said over there now. That's for sure. Ciarcia was a great, just a great guy and a good friend. He was on my show every single night that well, for some reason, he was on the show, but he would sleep and take a nap there, and you wouldn't know he was there half the time. One of the things about him was that when I was talking, he would fall asleep on the mic. And I'm talking, he's on another mic, which is also on the air, and you hear, that's him snoring during my material. And then when it's time for him to talk, of course, you know, nobody could ever interrupt him. But he had a great passion for a lot of things. First of all, he was an actor. And he was an entrepreneur, and he was a guy who he acted a wise guy, but he had a heart of gold. And you know, he always thought that you were going to get whacked, but never with him. He was just too sweet a heart, but he looked like a tough guy. So they all loved him. That's why they put him on The Sopranos and Goodfellas. You know, he's one of those guys. But also, he was Tony Danza's manager when he was fighting, and then years went by. And I think, was it Danny DeVito who stood up at your wedding? Is that right, Karen? Danny DeVito stood up at your wedding? Man. Did I hear that right? Yeah.
That's Danny. Yeah.
All right, so Karen and Ciarcia, Ciarcia left us just a few years ago. But when he left us, he left you the brajol, recipe for the brajol. And we have Ernest here who makes the greatest food in the world. You know, I mean, everybody knows they're the #1 dessert people in the world. Ferrara's is absolutely the best. So you got Ferrara's, and you have Alleva Dairy on the corner of Mulberry and Grand, the best corner in the world, across the street from Ernest. And I figured, okay, now that we're able to open up pretty soon in New York, and you guys are having a preview of what's going on, I'd have you both on the air. That's what I was thinking. Is that a good thought?
You do. We're here, Joe, and we appreciate being here. Thank you.
Is that right?
And sanitizing your hands and gloves before you walk in, make sure there's masks for all the guests, and trying to have some type of normalcy in a very fluid situation. But have to respect what our municipality has taught us to.
I'll tell you, Joey, if it wasn't for Ernest, I was so scared to open or even be in New York. So I ran and hid out in New Jersey for the past 2 months. And Ernest was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I have a guy guarding at the door. If they don't have a mask, they can't come in. If they want a mask, you buy one, the antibacterial soap, and then they have to, and he gives you gloves and he allows you in. And that is amazing. Yeah, because if you touch everything, then we have to throw it all out. And Ernest, you know, has the best things in the world here as far as what his products are and what he makes here. You know that. Ferrara's fabulous. And I got Alleva. What?
Well, it's
family.
That's right. That's right. We become great friends. If it wasn't for Ernest here at Ferrara's, I would be pulling my hair out because, you know, the situation was very dire and it's been very scary, as I said, and we didn't know what was going to happen, especially, you know, nobody's paying their rents and it's going to be very hard. All the tourists are out, the planes aren't, nobody's coming in. So it's going to be, you have to have new thinking and new ideas, and Ernest has all these new brilliant ideas, and I'm going with the guy that I know has the greatest brand, and Alleva is following in Ernest's footsteps. So, and we're both from 1892. I mean, we don't look it. Don't we look great?
Well, thank God. Really, our heritage has got to be durable in situations like this. So, Alleva and Ferrara has been through World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War. So we understand how the weather a tough situation. And it's tough. People have to be respectful of the situation and not fall backwards. But we can practice this and do this properly. So Karen and I and the Paulos, we've made sure that Little Italy can grow on to be better than ever. It might take a couple of years, just like 9/11. That's the natural order of things. You can't rush it. Safety first. Yet we get up every morning and we open the doors and we're there as long as our guests can practice the correct social practice according to municipality. So we fall into New York City, and that's Your Honor Blasio and Your Honor Cuomo. They set the rules for New York City, which is tough because it's a vertical city. It's so it's the last city that's really going to turn on because it's very dangerous. And we see a lot of stuff that they don't show on the news. However, we all got time for a cannoli.
Yes, always.
And we have some time for great parmigiano.
And some mozzarella.
And, you know, in its seriousness.
Well, everybody knows that the Italians created cuisine, but the French argue about it. But the Italians really created fine. I mean, we really know how to cook. I think you know how to cook very well. Thank you.
Definitely.
Are you making other food besides desserts now?
I was trained French, but I'm cooking Italian for 33 years.
Wow.
Yeah. The French,
Ernest,
Italians have this philosophy. I'm listening.
We had
the French.
A lot of Chinese were buying
the French. They drive you crazy.
This neighborhood, the Lower East Side, was originally like they Lewis's the gangs of New York. This was English, Irish, Dutch, and the street names of them. Then the Italians came, and the Jewish people came. Italians moved up and became doctors and moved out. The Chinese were the next wave of immigrants. So this neighborhood has always been a rebirth of the next immigrant people searching for a better life. So we as Italians, we're here 127 years each.
Yep.
And
1892.
We're in our original location, and it's not Chinese.
No, it's Italian.
It's Italian, but it was really English, Irish, and Dutch in its natural history.
You talked about that before.
However, so, you know, God bless the Chinese. They do their thing. And we do what our forefathers did.
Make
and
cheese.
We grow it. So we pivot with the situation. So Karen can ship you mozzarella, and you can have a good day. I can ship you cannolis, and you can have a good day. We're just, you know, acclimating to the conditions.
Is Little Italy going to grow? Can we expand the property? Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to grow, but what I've noticed the last week is people are polishing their fronts, cleaning up their curbside appeal, taking this time to reinvent themselves, which is really nice because over the last decade or so, it needed more loving. So really the best of the best I imagine will stay. And the people that are less fortunate will still go on and have a great life. Though it might be a little difficult out of the gate.
Yeah, I agree.
On the San Gennaro feast every year, it was you made the meatballs for the meatball eating contest, and it was great.
Ernest did that.
Thousands of meatballs.
You know what's really great, Joey, is that my husband was born and raised in Little Italy, and he had his famous ciarcias for 38 years, and we bought Alleva because we didn't want to see Alleva turn into a, just a
Chinese
whatever.
corner.
Right, a Chinese corner. Okay, right. So I bought it to keep it the way it was since 1892, selling cheese and all that. So I love ciarcia so much it makes me sick that he's not here. But what Ernest did for me, and nobody else in this town did, in Little Italy, and my husband gave many years, his whole life here, Ernest came to me and said, Karen, I want to do something to honor ciarcia. How about a meatball eating contest? And him and Mort, I looked at them and I thought, that's the greatest idea that you could ever come up with. And it was so special. And Ernest does the famous cannoli contest, and that's like world famous. I mean, it's bigger than anything in the San Gennaro feast. So when we started doing the meatball eating contest, it became so big. At first it was 2,000. And then the next, we're doing it, like we're going into our 5th year. And I usually have like my celebrity friends and Ernest makes all the meatballs. I'm supposed to make the meatballs, but he does them and they're great. And he sends them out on tray platters with the tops on them, all his workers. It's beautiful and it's very successful, and it's an honor that this guy, that's why I love him so much. I love this guy because he honored my husband and nobody else did in here in Little Italy.
Oh, yeah. Well, Ernest, you have quite a background. Now, let's talk a little bit about where you come from. Were you born on Mulberry Street?
No, I am American-Italian. I was born in Brooklyn. And thank God my parents gave me the grace of a great education. And I started going to Italy in college as an exchange student. So I taught myself to speak proper Italian, read Italian, write Italian. And then I could do business back and forth in Italy. And I would go to Italy to learn how to cook. I'd go to Italy to learn how to make gelato. I'd go to Italy to make equipment. So if I design a lot of our equipment. I have it sent, and I go to them and look at the prototype. I go back to make sure it's correct, and I go back and make sure it runs so many pieces per minute. I'm just very gifted. My grandfather, it was my great-grandfather's business originally, Mr. Ferrara and Mr. Scopo. My grandfather came from Italy and married Mr. Scopo's daughter. He was Mr. Ferrara's nephew. So I'm really true blood. And he brought it through the Great Depression with Tironi. And he would tell my grandmother, her name was Eleanor. He'd say, order me this equipment. He was going to make Tironi. No, we need this. They lived upstairs. We need this. So we made a lot of Tironi for World War II. My grandmother couldn't get it. So he made care packages. And that got us through World War II. It got us through the Depression. And Tironi we became very famous for. And I still own my grandfather's copper pots. I use them every day.
Oh, no.
So I can make all the custard in the copper pots.
That's
they'll tell me it takes too much time. I'm like, but it's the old way to do it. There's nothing more special than my father and my uncle's great love of food and sharing food. And my father wanted to send me to school in Paris. I said, you want to get rid of me? And I said, no, I'm not going to go. And he passed away when I was in high school. Aww. So I went to Fordham and got a degree in economics. And as soon as I graduated, I started cleaning kitchen floors in Los Angeles. And then we were going to sell the business. And my mom said, no, you got to come home. We can't sell Daddy's business. I'm like, Mom, I'm going to go gray and get fat. My mom was right. My mom's 82, strong as a horse. Doll. And I got 15 great years. I see my mom several times. She works every Saturday night. Yeah. And I've had 50 great years to be with my mom.
That's so great.
And really, Ferrara stayed moving forward because my mom wanted to see the business and her children enjoy our heritage.
Oh,
it was really my mom who have to do this, not me.
Isn't that wonderful?
Well, so it is wonderful, and I've seen your mom go to work, and it's great to see someone who's a senior having some
She's 82
sort of,
and drives in every 3-4 days. She checks her property. She checks everybody's tie. She checks the cannoli. She's got a great taste bud, and she's a whippersnapper. She's from South Jersey.
Now, who made up all these recipes for this great? You have so many great desserts. They're original. Who made them up?
Well, again, the Ferrara cookbook. To give you an example, when Crisco went to make Crisco, they came to my grandfather during World War II because they needed the lard for the soldiers. So they had to make plant shortening. So we demoed it. So it's very interesting. Ferrara I have a cookbook of 127 years of how to mill a nut to make pistachio, to make gelato. So my grandfather, I saved all his equipment, and it all works. I restored it all. And so I walked into a situation that had great recipes and just applied great standards and best practices to what we always did. I haven't changed the recipe. I changed 2 things. On the eclair, I put ganache, something softer, because the chocolate used to fly across the room. But people yell at me because I changed it. And I spent a lot of time on going back and forth to Italy. It's about a decade. Understanding gelato is anything frozen. There's no such thing as gelati. There's not a way. We Americans say that. It's low fat, low sugar, high protein. It's an art. So American premium ice cream is 14 grams of fat. Gelato has 8. And they finish it with a touch of cream so you can have it basically every day. And the Italians are very smart when they eat. You know, that's why, as being an American Italian, I'm allowed to cook what's in my region, like an Italian would. If it's not grown in our region, we don't eat it. It has to be really special. But us Italians, it's indigenous to us. Like in the north, they eat rice. In the south, they eat tomatoes. They have cheese, more cheese in the north than we have vegetables in the south. And that's part of the beauty of it, the culinary arts of Italy, where French, their technique is a little different and based on sauce. And having worked in great restaurants, they can't let the loving come into the food because they're too hung up on it being perfect. And my answer is, God made it perfect. Just let it be.
Well, if we ate what was in the region here, we'd be having alligator mango soup. You know, I mean, we have to go somewhere else. If cheese doesn't come from Florida, I mean, well, we have animals that give us milk, and then we get cheese. But where do you get your cheese from? Where is that from?
Well, cheese comes from, we both need great milk. Mm-hmm. So we have to go up towards Connecticut to the commissary to get, we have to put an order in for milk, and then Karen can make her ricotta, and I can make the ricotta for the cannoli cream, the impastato.
Right. Yeah.
So when we make cheese, we have to put an order in so many weeks. Like right now, me and Karen have to think what we need several months in advance because everything's slow. Once we can get the milk, then we can begin the process of cheese and making curds. And then the ricotta is the recooked leftover from curds and whey. Little Miss Muffet sat on the top of curds and whey. Well, I used the whey and she used the curd.
Yep, to make the
mozzarella. So right now, our biggest problem is, as everything's turning on, that we can have the right ingredients to our standards or we can't sell. So I'm having trouble with pine nuts, right?
Are you?
Tremendous.
Yeah. Really?
Because they're making Mediterranean, they can't leave the Mediterranean. So I was speaking to my friend that owns Termini Bakery in Philadelphia, and he says, I only serve the best. I said, Vincent, we have to sell what's affordable. You can't afford to sell pinoli's right now because people can't afford them, and you have to live with that for this season. You understand? People don't have the money to buy $36 pound of pinole cookies.
Expensive.
We have to switch this Christmas until everything comes online. He's like, no, I like the best. I'm like, yes, but people need a sweet. They'll have pinole next year, maybe. Maybe we'll get lucky and find some.
Wouldn't that be nice?
But it's part of the Italian way of cooking what's in our region.
Karen, have you learned a lot from Ernest? Because you were not originally. Wait, let's start a little bit. Karen is a singer. She's an artist.
I'm an entertainer and writer and singer. Yes.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we don't always talk about.
I say it.
Talk about that.
Albert Johnson meets Julie Garland, and she embodies them both, but she's Karen.
Right. That's great. That's it. I got the quality of Garland and the range of Streisand. And I've emulated them both for many, many years. And I'm still working on my music and, trying to run Alleva Dairy. And have I learned anything I learn from Ernest every day. And whatever, I mean, I'm learning stuff right now listening to this interview with him. And I know he's a great chef and all that. I was thinking as you were talking, Ernest, it's something I was thinking about the other day. When I took over Alleva Dairy, I regretted the fact that Alleva didn't stay with the heritage as to keep moving on. And they had a dairy farm, and they had a much bigger place, and we were making everything. Okay, we make our ricotta and we make our mozzarella, but it just isn't enough. And I love the fact that Ernest is. Cheeses? Yes, we do. We import many cheeses. Yes, we can.
You have a manufacturing license.
Yes, we have. That's what we are. We are a manufacturer, and we're under the
auspice of the state.
That's right. Right. So, yeah, it's a learning experience, and we're going to keep moving. I want to keep Alleva. See, I'd like to take Alleva to where Ernest is. I mean, he's like way out there. His products are all over the world, and they're phenomenal. And I want to be that. I want Alleva. I think Alleva deserves to be a brand like, Ferrara, and I'm following in his footsteps. I'm right behind him, and I want to learn everything I can to put the Alleva products out there. And as we're going with what's happening with the pandemic, and then coming off of a winter that was very slow, and worrying about this virus coming, and we weren't sure because all the Chinese had masks on, and I was wondering if they know something that we didn't know. I never expected it to be this bad. So it was like really, it's been unbelievable. It's been scary, but I feel very confident, and Ernest made me feel that confident that we could go on and be better than ever. And yes, it's a different world, it seems to me, and but we could survive in this world. And I think that what Ernest was saying about people are really respecting their properties. They're cleaning them. They want them to look better. They want everything to be better. So if they think that, then we can be better and keep moving on.
Well, we can also say that you've kept all your employees.
I did.
Even when the store was closed. I mean, you were definitely closed. Ernest was not closed.
Well, Ernest kept open, Joey.
Yeah, Ernest kept open for outgoing.
Ferrara stayed open the whole time, and he's been shipping everywhere.
The reserve and the doctor.
Right. Yeah. And plus he gives everything away to the police and the firemen and whoever comes in here. No, he does. He's so good to our first responders.
Well, you know something? We're now on an even playing field. Everybody is right in the same boat right now, right this moment, and we're all starting, and we're
the whole gas system's coming down. Everybody has an opportunity to be all they can be.
So this is ground zero. So this really is ground zero right now. This is the zero that
time, because the world needs something like this to come together. And I say this quite frankly, we're all God's children.
Yeah.
So I don't hear enough on CBS what's going on in the Middle East. They need help. I only hear about America. I need to compare the stats about America to the stats in the world. In Russia, they're going to curve it, not tell us the truth. London, we can learn a lot from. The Swedish, we can learn from Sweden. They did a really good job. The Americans are starting to learn that you have to be respectful and use your brain to what your municipality, because in Florida it's different than New York, and California is different than Florida, and different regions in Florida it's different. Like up in Orlando is different because they have a higher density of people. New York, we have a tremendous amount of people, and we're vertical. So that leads to its own complexity, I could say, but it's doable if you listen. The best thing I believe as a chef and studying nutrition is to eat a diabetic's diet. Eat your green vegetables.
You always say that.
Make your immune system strong. Because you can't depend on what the virus and when it'll be ready. You need to rest and not stress. So right now, everybody's got to pass on taxes. Right?
Oh, please tell them that out there.
And our government is trying their best to take care of us. It's so fluid that really what happens today might have to change tomorrow for our benefit. So you have
It's okay. I embrace change. I like it because I'm older, and then they don't want older people around. You know, I mean, we're busy trying to make everybody happy, but the older people are getting screwed. They also say that we're the ones that are going to go first because of the pandemic. And now, you know, I'm taking good care of myself. I eat the right food in the morning, and I also follow all the guidelines. I wear a mask, not on my broadcast, fortunately.
But the elderly, it's interesting. Elderly system, when you study food, the elderly and the youth have the most compromised immune system. However, the lesson that I learned was we don't tend to the elderly properly, and these facilities haven't been being monitored. So I would say about 50% of the deaths, there's going to be culpability for the way we treated the elderly and the housing of elderly. That we could have prevented probably 10 to 30% of these deaths if we took care of our elderly. I judge our society, personally, by how well we take care of our elderly and how well we take care of our youth with education and dental. Outside of that, that's the American way to me. Everybody else can go to work.
That's really...
Now, you know, I have a philosophy, too. I think that the rich people know how to take care of themselves pretty well. They're mostly educated, and they have skills, and they have help. You know, they have financial help. So I think the top people know how to really do it. The middle people take care of the poor people. The middle people, the middle Americans, are the ones that our families, our regular people, take care of the poor because we feel a calling for it. We identify with it, and also we're the ones that got squeezed the most in our jobs, which is unfortunate. So now we come back to where we're going to make things again in the middle, and the middle people should improve. I mean, I think we're going to get more now. I think I'm a middle guy. Well, I mean, I've been a celebrity. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I believe it's going to happen. The first thing is, if we can educate, we have so many different nationalities in this country. We need to speak in multiple languages so people can understand what to do. And we're only speaking in English. So when you go to an inner city like East New York, you have to provide them with masks. Yeah. Because I wear a mask to respect you and not cough on you, and you wear a mask to respect me. You have to explain to people why. You have to explain. I can't believe we don't have a pathway to working papers, because unless all the Eastern Europeans, all the Latinos, unless we can say they're here, we have to tend to them. We can't send them anywhere, but they can get us sick again because we're not giving them the help they need. So there's a combination of education and listen, you're here illegal, it's a $10,000 fine, build your wall. If you don't like it, we take away your working papers.
Hey, let me tell you guys about something, as long as you brought it up. I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Miami. Now, you know, we're both the same. We both have the same rules. Dade and Broward County are both the same. We're high tourist, high risk area. Now, the Latinos here, you would think, because of the bum rap for Mexicans and South Americans, and sometimes there's a lot of prejudice and arrogance, but you would think that that we're going to be a little sluggish. You would be shocked at how the Latin community in Miami has picked up the ball and followed all the guidelines. They're not the ones on the beach, incidentally, and not as a rule. And you see, it's amazing because we have the conscience
more with the game than most Americans.
Yeah, and helping each other with the food banks that we have here and set up. You know, I mean, we have so much help from the Latin community here. I'm impressed. I'm saying,
listen,
wait a minute.
I'm Latin too. The Italians is from the Romance languages.
Definitely.
And 5 languages: Italian, French, Portuguese, Spanish, and Romanian are all Latin-based thought languages. So we're Latino by heritage, by intellectuals.
Well, we're Romance. We're Romance language.
Yes, we're a Romance language.
I see.
I find, because we send cars, we carpool everybody in and out. The different cultures all handle it differently. And the Latinos are used to a little more strife than Americans.
Yeah.
So they know how to buckle down, play it safe, don't go out unless you have to, and figure out the next step. I don't know the next step, but we will learn it as we go.
This is true.
Don't be in a rush. We're going nowhere. Okay? As we would say in New York, you're running.
Well, we have. I think there's more.
Well, you could run pretty fast because there's nobody in the city.
That gets me to. I see all these joggers. What are they running into the virus for? Without a mask on?
I don't even get it.
I ask this question at 6 o'clock every
I don't
morning.
know.
What is that? Why can't he just walk? He's running through the light.
I don't like it when they don't have the they
don't wear a mask.
And them they're not wearing masks.
Because he might stop and cough on me.
Yeah.
So he's breaking the rule. And when one person breaks the rule, then the next person breaks the rule, and the next person. I mean, me and Carrie have been together so much that if she's got it, I got it, and if I got it, she's got it.
And I don't. I always think I do.
We check in with each other. Say, you're feeling, you're sluggish, you're okay, you run down.
Well, we have pretty good, you know, you yourself and Karen too. Karen's got a great family. We all have been raised with family values. Not everybody's raised that way, but you know, I know when I'm doing wrong. Even though I've done it a lot, I know when I'm wrong. I have a good conscience because it's not letting me. It's not letting me free. Now, my mother used to say, "Sex is vulgar and dirty, so save it for marriage." You know, I just wait a minute, Mom. You know, Karen, we didn't talk about this. I want to bring this up here because you and Ernest are great friends, and he is a great heart. That's why I wanted to have him on the air. And you, I know, are a great heart, but I wanted to show you, put you in the light that you deserve to be in, because I don't see the network television people coming in with the heroes that don't get celebrated as a rule. I mean, you know, once in a while they'll do a closing news story on somebody great and maybe a big name. You know, Ferrara's is a big brand name, but behind Ferrara's is the new person in the family who kept it going or rebranded it, frankly, and went in a better direction. But I want to old school, but you're not old. You're not old.
That's good.
Old school.
Yeah, he's young. He's young.
But I'm fortunate. I'm very blessed that I had great heritage.
Yeah, and you kept it.
I have a great job. People come in for tricolor cookies and cannolis. This is not H&R Block. Our guests want to have fun.
And people love that. You know what? You're making everybody happy. You know, when I met Ciarcia and I started selling at Ciarcia's originally cannolis and gelato and all that, it made people happy. And I was thrilled. Look, I'm a singer. I entertain. I want to make people happy. And selling ice cream and gelato and cannolis and desserts and Ciarcia's brajol, which I didn't even know. I'm Italian. I didn't know what brajol was.
That's what I was talking about.
But I mean, you know,
blonde hair. She's from the north.
No.
You know what? Karen, yeah? I'm going to stop you for a minute.
Okay,
you guys are the new. I like to think when I'm presenting people for the new media, because that's my thing. I'm a senior, you know, and I want the freshmen to learn the principles.
He's young.
I got my arm.
But you guys,
I love it.
You have a wonderful friendship. But I want to say something. Alleva, on the corner of Mulberry and Grand, and across the street, kind of, is Ferrara's home base,
Well,
and then you got DePaulo, and DePaulo
Oh,
there.
he talks about this.
DePaulo, I wish
Listen
Louis
to
was
this.
here.
Yeah, I know.
Really, what I believe is going to happen is Karen,
Well,
myself.
you're the hope. You're the hope, you guys.
Well, I believe
that's what Ernest believes, and I do too.
It's going to be Eat Italy in Little Italy, and it's going to turn to be like a promenade of shopping. Is what I see coming. So you're going to be able to go, like in Florida, when you go to the outdoor malls, the best, or the people that could endure will endure like they did for a century. Well, I see it happening again. You know, so there's some great people on Mulberry Street, Lamella, Danico, Baby John at Cafe Palermo. They're trying. It's not easy. Yeah. And people are scared to come into the city like worse than 9/11. Because I go down to Beekman, to the hospital. I think it's Lancome now. Changed names so many times.
Yeah.
And it's really because doctors need a little bit of loving. So they call me up, 1,800 packages, or, we need a cake for 150.
Right.
I'm glad someone's there to take care of us. Where we're going to go if we get sick.
Well, you guys are the hope. And
Uh,
I got to say, everybody brings hope.
The parade.
Very special block.
There's a parade every year. There's a parade every year through the streets of Little Italy, and in the last couple of years, even because of the graciousness of the Italian community, we've involved the Chinese. When I say we, the Little Italy and China even made a parade together. At this, I think at Christmas time. But but the one that I was on the float. Oh, Ciarcia accuses me of jumping on the float and crashing. He's and because I don't belong, I'm not a star. But you guys, I see the spirit, and that's what's going to make it all work. And that's why I wanted to have you on the air here, because I know it's not the big network, national, global broadcast. But I do know that this is going to be running on the air for people to see who is behind the curtain, and people who are under the radar, those who don't get celebrated, but they make everything happen. See, what's going to make this happen again, and this is my opinion, is people, and it's you guys. It's familia, as the Pope said once. Family, and even in his Italian tour, he said that. I like that. But you guys are together. And you didn't even know each other too well. I mean, Ernest was in California.
By happenstance. I never knew Ciarcia. So Ciarcia purchased Alleva and kept it going on. I walk in the door to say hello. I'm Ernest from Ferrara.
In 2015.
He made me laugh.
And he died.
I came back a second time. He made me laugh.
He makes everybody laugh. That's what he was. That's what he was. That's why I married him.
I said, this is a cool guy. He makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Right?
He made love.
It's hard to make me laugh. Right? Then I would see that it was him in that movie. Oh, he was in that movie. I'm like, that's Ciarcia. I didn't know better.
I know.
So then Karen did everything to make sure Ciarcia's wishes would be fulfilled. I said, this is a good woman. She loves her man.
Yep.
And so we became very good friends because of it. And her and Ciarcia, like twin souls. If Ciarcia wanted it, he got it. I'm sure if he can give her the same to Karen, he would. I could see this right away when I saw them standing next to each other. Yeah. And it's really interesting that I met him for a very short time, but I would walk in the back, he'd be a little behind the counter. I didn't know how big he was in the acting world. I really didn't know. I mind my own business. My father taught me, mind your own business. He would say, what business is of yours? And then we became great friends.
Yeah.
Well, another thing about him, I mentioned that he was just
together.
When I was on the air, he'd be on another microphone sleeping. I mentioned that at the beginning here. But also I did a documentary with an iPhone and an iPad. I did this long before it was fashionable, and my daughter was growing medical marijuana. So he's on the video, and he says, you're full of crap, And he said, the job that he did on me, which you can see on YouTube, it's hysterical, and it's all true. I mean, he said, "You're full of shit," you know. Chacha never,
you know, it's funny.
Never wasted words.
No, and he was a great interviewer too. Ciarcia loved to talk about everything and anything, and mostly about family and his heritage, and that's what I loved about him. And he taught me that. You know, I didn't know it. I wanted to know about my heritage because of him. But his family in Italy, and I'm close with them. And we were going to do a lot of things that we were just going to fulfill. And then he died. So
he transcended
to a better place. And we're just here for the slack to go on.
You can't go back the way you came in.
So. That's true. Really true.
But Ernest, you got to know something. Ciarcia went to Naples with the Monsignor of St. Patrick's, the original cathedral on Mulberry Street, and he was very much responsible for helping them to I guess it was actually a rejuvenation of the neighborhood and the church, and he was very good at it. So he
out of the Vatican.
So he's supposed to meet the wait. He's supposed to meet the Pope, but the Pope was in Naples, and he was celebrating San Gennaro, who is the patron saint of food, as you know, and so he was a day late. He missed the Pope. He's coming back from Italy. The door of the plane on the freight side blew open. The plane had to go around. That Monsignor was saying the rosary every minute he knew Ciarcia. He prayed for this guy. But wait a minute. Now, when Ciarcia died, they put him in the catacombs of the church. They put him in the wall of the church.
Darren, are you kidding me?
There's only so much space. It's
That's
beautiful.
Right. It is.
It's for saints. They do it for saints, and he's not a saint. I don't think he was a saint.
They built those catacombs right away during the Civil War.
It's magnificent down there
too now. The Monsignor that did it and helped the Ciarcia work with.
Yeah.
Really busted it.
He really did. He made that happen.
Sure that he started brick by brick. Didn't want anything from anybody. And he did it independently. He made it part of the Vatican. So now Manhattan has its first basilica. It was in Brooklyn before. Yes. So now if the Pope comes, he goes to the original St. Patrick's, which is in Little Italy.
Yep.
It's old St. Patrick's. And literally, I learned this from going to the tour during the Civil War. My family was here right after the Civil War. We were a social club. We weren't a Cafe Ferrara yet. And
that was before
they would stay in that church. We're older than New York City. We became incorporated in New York City. We were a social club in the 1880s.
Wow.
Where Italians came looking for work. And then my great-grandfather said, this is a legitimate business. Let's incorporate. Mm-hmm. That's the long and short. But the catacombs used to protect President Lincoln's men and write his speeches from where these catacombs are. That's how occupied it is. Oh, and there's very little space. They only opened, they were able to grow it a little.
My husband was the first one in there. Did you know that? And you know what his number was? Because they numbered them.
It's prettier than Rome.
I had to cremate him, and I didn't even know he wanted to do that until before he had this operation, and then he died. But he was the first one in there, and his number is CC 100. And I said, this is it. And I'm going there too. I'm going there too. It's so beautiful.
I told the Monsignor, I said, if he's buried as a saint, his wife's going to be a martyr. They're going to put her right next to him.
He's a saint too.
Oh, say that.
Ernest, let me say this. First of all, I love you guys. You know that. I mean, personally.
We love you too, Joey. We're happy to be here talking.
Professionally, I think it should be said that Karen has all of her family involved in Alleva. So, that's a family business. I want to mention that. That's
going to be hard for him. He knows it already.
I know. So they came over to give you a hand. And did you fire any of them, Ernest?
Well, sometimes it's easier. I'll say this, and my family's listening. It's sometimes easy just to send a check and tell them to stay home.
He does that.
Because it's a family business doesn't mean it has to be family run.
That's true.
The shares stay in the family. Some of my family moves to Panettone. They move to Toronto. I'm like, I put it there for a reason. Then I move them back, and I'm chasing their ass all day. I'm like, why'd you touch that? It took me 10 years with a figure. My grandfather would put the slate on it right there. You didn't touch it for nothing. I give no respect. I feel like Roger sometimes.
Now, Karen, we're not going to leave here without you singing. You don't have to do the national anthem. Otherwise, in broadcasting, that's a sign-off. We don't want that, except for a sports game. But I want you to just do just a little bit because, you know, Karen played a lot of – the reason the show did not make it on Broadway was Kate Smith, because she was, after World War II, during World War II, she was a #1 star in the country and the first female to ever become that big of a star. But this generation would not know anything about her, so they didn't put the show on Broadway, and she didn't have a legacy, you know, a continuum. So what happened, even Jimmy Dean had a sausage. You know, he was famous on television.
Yeah, I like those sausages, too.
And you don't hear about,
Like his not his real voice.
They're great. Because he's not here anymore. I saw his 100-foot yacht from those sausages.
And Paul Newman is gone, and you think of him as a popcorn. You know,
That's right.
Nobody remembers you in another generation. So, but for this generation, because you are a very lovely young lady still, and a very talented lady, I'm not just stroking you, but I want you to just sing a little, because I want everybody to know you did a great job as Kate Smith. It's never made it to Broadway, but you did it with Angelo Pepolo. I
wrote it, and I produced it, and I did it, and I played her. And, you know, I loved every minute of it, because during that time when I was writing it, I wanted to do something. My mother had breast cancer, and she was dying from it. Yeah. And she was an entertainer from a very young age on radio for many years. So I was trying to keep her you know, everything going for her, and she loved entertaining. She loved writing, so that's why I basically think I wrote it, because I did it a few times, and then I let it go. So it never really happened, but it was a great show. So I was happy for it. But right now, I'm working on my album with Angelo DePippo, and we're doing a movie soundtrack for one of the great New York directors, John Gallagher. And he's made so many people. He's a brilliant director, brilliant writer, and he wrote something, and I wrote the theme song to it. So we're working on that. I'm still doing music, but I have helping with what we're going to do now. Yes, it's hard, but I have Ernest, and I feel very well.
Ernest will do all the catering for the film, but he'll also have product placement in the movie. You're going to see Ferraras up there. or you better close the store. Now during The Irishman,
great Ferrara too. Like food.
Yeah.
Well, I want to mention. I'm trying to get this in before we wrap up. Okay. The Irishman was filmed, and you know, with Robert De Niro and all. They made these guys 20 years younger. You know, with digital, and they made maybe 30 years younger. You know, they made them all as young because it's part of the magic of Hollywood and the role they're playing. You could not do that now because you can't insure a film. A film needs to be insured. So you're not going to have all these love scenes and people close together. Not right now. Not yet.
We don't even know what's going to happen. How are we going to do this? I mean, look at they're trying now, doing everything on the air, like singing and performing separately. And then
it's beautiful. It's evolving.
It is, and it's interesting.
A new form of entertainment.
You're right.
Well, even Walt Disney owns ABC, and they're trying. You know, they have the ABC Disney Sing Along. They own half the shows on Broadway, and they also have all of these films. And I said, you know, I wrote a song for during Mary Poppins. You know, during the drug council for President Reagan, when Nancy Reagan was pushing, you know, it was the war on drugs. And I wrote super careless, unrealistic, and you die from overdoses. And it was Mary Poppers. Well, of course, you know, Disney wouldn't let me use it. But now I want to mention that right now, with the marriage of you two on Little Italy, the dedication of you and Apollo's and everybody that you have, you know, that you're going to involve in your building. And I know you've mentioned everybody. You know, we're not slighting anybody's business on the street.
Right.
But I want to mention that
together we're strong.
That's right. That's what he keeps saying.
That's right. And I love going up and down the street and having everybody say hello. But I want to say something. I would like to see more local in Little Italy this time. I'd like to see it as a local place from New Yorkers rather than just tourists. I think New Yorkers really need to come there.
You know, when they tell me Ferrara is very touristy, so is the Louvre and the Vatican.
Yeah.
So
That's
when you
true.
have something great like Alleva, like the Apollo, people want to come and enjoy it. New Yorkers, I love to see New Yorkers eat and enjoy New York. But what we have here is something special.
Yeah.
As far as the United States goes, there's only one New York, Little Italy. The Bronx is excellent. And the people now that move to Jersey, they're losing the taste for what our grandparents fed us. And with all the quick shots, they only know what they last ate. It might not be good, but they don't analyze why we're eating what we're eating, why we should eat in season, why did our grandmother feed us this. Not only because it's affordable, if you eat in season, the body needs what's in season and grown locally.
Well, it's been said that an Italian could live off a vacant lot.
Correct.
You know, we could live off a vacant lot. Because we eat
Very
everything.
genius.
We are. I was thinking about the song I wanted to sing. I was practicing something earlier, and you want me to do a little of it?
Sure.
You'll know what it is.
I want you to do
the Italian part. But
I want
you want me to end with it?
I want you to sing it to Ernest.
Okay.
Because this is the Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire moment. If you'll go back that far.
Okay, no, look. Okay. Speak softly, love, and hold me warm against your heart. I feel your words, the tender trembling bits of arm. In the world, my very own, sharing a love that only two have ever. Warm colored days, warmed by the sun, sweet melodies. I forget the words. Oh my God! I have to do the Italian. Alla più piano, nessuno ikuta. Il nostro amore non turnerà. Oh, I forget. See, it's been too long.
That's great.
I never heard her sing in Italian before.
I do. I did. I gotta do it. I'll do it better the next time.
No, you never. You're perfect. All right, you guys, it's been fun.
Thank you so much.
I want you to know.
We hope you're safe.
You know, Joey, it's been really wonderful. Thank you for having us on here, and I'm so glad I'm doing this with you.
I'd like to apologize for a lot of the sound glitches because we're in the middle of a rainstorm here. And that's why I put the thing on my shoulder trying to keep the rain. But I wanted to do this. You know, outside here it's raining, but it doesn't matter. Rain or shine, you guys are the sunshine of my life.
Thank
you
so much.
Joey.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And as they say, this word works two ways. Ciao.
Ciao. My thoughts completely.
Let a smile be your umbrella, but don't get a mouthful of rain.
Ciao, ciao.